What's up, everybody? I'm Scott,
And I'm Jason.
and you are listening to Liquid Carnage. My friend, how are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. How are you doing, my friend?
I am hot. We are on the cusp of the summertime. Season 6 is in full effect, right? We are in season 6 now.
We are officially in season six. And it's officially part of season six and part of the fun that we've gotten as we've gotten older. We've matured. We're no longer young kids anymore. So this season is going to be full of adult fun and brevity and seriousness and laughter. It's going to be great.
Translation: old men on soapboxes is what it
True,
sounds like, but
true.
that's fine because we find ourselves talking about more uh, topical conversations that are applicable to today's world. But I tell you what, man, you look back to where we started 6 years ago, and it's funny when you say 6 years because it doesn't feel like it.
Okay.
But when we started in my office with a card table, some microphones, and we would record a couple episodes at a time.
Yeah, that's right.
And we would bring guests in, and it would be it was a blast, man. I'll be it was the old days when we had the original setup was a great time. This
Yeah,
works
it was
too.
good. It was good.
This certainly works. We've learned to adapt to this over the last couple of years, but I have to admit, it was always more fun recording in the same room with you because we could look at each other's facial expressions during the conversations and we could bounce off of that.
Yeah, there was a lot more. There's a lot more ability to sense what was going on and the way we were going.
Yeah,
And I think that is the one thing that has been very difficult. That being said, I'm still just excited that the technology has given us the opportunity to even continue to do this because we did talk about shutting it down or having a new guest come in so that you could have that in studio experience, and we chose not to. We
yeah,
it was like backdraft, you go, we go kind of thing.
yeah. That's exactly it. Like Liquid Carnage is nothing without the edge.
Well,
So
yeah, I mean, you can get the kern all day long, but without the edge, oh,
it ain't worth it. And
yeah, it's not worth it. That's
what's
right.
funny is I've had a few people over the years saying, "Well, if you need a special a guest host for whatever reason, I'm happy to step in." And while I appreciate that, and I've relayed my appreciation to them, I've always been polite in saying, "Listen, man, this is Liquid Carnage, Kern and Edge. Without one, there's not the other."
I
So
truly feel that way. I mean, it's there is a dynamic between the two of us that just it's hard to replicate. You can't just like step in and just say, okay, it's the same thing. Now I'm
oh yeah,
saying that, but I'm only saying that because I know for a fact that there are many people in the Kingman area who would definitely be able to step right in and become liquid kern something else, and it would you probably would be fantastic. So I appreciate that you holding on to the without the edge, there's no carnage. So and without the
well,
carnage, sorry.
in complete transparency, if that were ever to be the case, it would just start from square one with a whole new show, whole new topic, whole new title. But I
It's
don't think
true.
that's ever going to be. Once you retire from this, I retire from this, or vice versa. I don't have any intention of being Michael Jordan on the Wizards in this scenario.
Oh, that
Uh,
okay.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna we're gonna say MJ on the Bulls. We're not going to the Wizards.
yeah. I mean, there's no jump in the shark.
No, there's not. Well,
There's
let's
not
be
going to be a
fair.
jump in the shark.
Let's be fair. We jumped the shark a couple times over the last 6 years,
Yes, we have,
and I'm pretty sure that our EP has told us numerous times, "You guys are idiots. Don't jump the shark."
yeah, don't ever do that again, and we won't.
But you mentioned that it's hard to replicate uh, the chemistry that we have, and we were out with some friends on Friday night. Well, you were out with some friends on Friday night. It felt like one of those old times where our group was all out together, except you were in one location and we were in another location, all out, basically doing the same thing without even
Yeah,
talking to each other.
yeah. We were all enjoying First Friday, and a group of the friends from Phoenix were down at First Friday in Phoenix, and obviously your group was in First Friday in Kingman, and other than maybe the massive size difference, it was pretty much the same kind of expense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was an expense, but we were we were their friends. The Kowalskis, Dean and Danielle, and I don't get to see them as much as we used to, and vice versa, because they're always off renovating houses or they've got trips, and we're busy with kids and trips and whatever else. So it's nice to be able to go out with Dean, and you were in the same boat with him as far as I'm concerned, where we could go out to a bar or any location and we don't miss a beat because we know the other's cues.
Yep, that's true.
And
That's true.
without even missing a beat, Dean was talking to someone off at the wine bar the other night, and he said, "Hey, do you want to see my Rat Pack impression?" And I knew right there.
Hey, you're on pace, my friend. You're on.
I heard Rat Pack. I stopped what I was doing and I walked right up. And I heard we're doing our impressions, so we worked the room, and we had to apologize to the crowd because our Sammy Davis wasn't there.
Oh, I know. I would have been a great Sammy Davis.
But
gosh, I practiced that so many times, and for me not to be there, it was definitely hurtful. It was hurtful.
I tell you what, though, man, it's you can appreciate the chemistry of a friendship that's been built well over a decade plus now, of just dumb things like that, and it's fun. But
hey, I think for just to have a brief shout out, we have I'm not sure if it's a new listener or a listener that has been gone for a while, but we just had a major expansion into the state of Ohio. So thank you very much for listening. We appreciate you. If you are new to the show, we look forward to entertaining you every week. If you're an old listener and just coming back, we appreciate you coming back. So I just want to give a shout out to Ohio.
Well, in Ohio, hang in there. We will eventually get our picture back up on our screen on iTunes and in Podbean. I'm not sure where it went off to, but we do have a picture we can put up there. We just need to work on it a little bit.
Okay, well, I think it's on there again, but since I go on there every day and I see it,
okay. Well, it's not on the Apple one.
Oh, okay. Well, then that I'm not sure why that is, but I don't deal with Apple.
Yeah, so. And it should just be a link, but I can't figure out how to make Apple work without a computer that has the old iTunes. So I will, you know what? That's something I'll work on here this week and see if we can figure out.
I think that's a good idea. A good idea.
Let's see. I'm not sure how far I'll get, but we'll see what I can do. I'll call our EP and see if he knows anybody that I can, buzz over to.
I like that. Okay, yeah.
Where's it at? Northern California. What's it? Where is it? It's not Sausalito. It's Cupertino.
Cupertino, yeah, that's right.
Cupertino.
That's right.
We'll see if we know anybody in Cupertino, California, that can help us adjust to this issue.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so on with the show. So, interesting topic today. How people receive, perceive, and relay information is always interesting to me because I do have a degree in communication, and which my brother makes fun of quite a bit, but it does pay off from time to time. I've noticed over the years, as cable news has become more prevalent and the interweb has become more, what's the word I'm looking for, Jason? That
persuasive,
ugly.
Okay. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yes.
It's not, unless you're shopping, it's not good.
Yeah.
I just don't understand, when news stopped being news and it started becoming opinions about events. And if you didn't believe that person, you're clearly wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It has changed a lot.
And we used to joke that my great grandma lived to be 101 and she watched Fox News for the last 10, 15 years of her life. And she was always convinced that the world was coming to an end. And okay, I watched a little bit of Fox News every now and then when it's out at the gym, and I'm glad they finally made a rule to turn it off. No news stations.
Oh, they did.
No conservative, okay. No liberal, no.
Yep, there you go.
No news. The closest thing they have to news is ESPN, and that is still suspect.
That's a different kind of stress, but yes, stress nonetheless.
Well, I'm not sure ESPN's actually aired any sports news since 2005, so that's a whole different ballgame anyway. But it's interesting to me that people take so much of this stuff as gospel when they've been told time and time again, trust me, but don't trust them. And the person that's saying, the other side's saying the exact same thing. I don't understand why people aren't more receptive to the idea of doing their own research. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that I agree with you on the fact that people should do their own research. The hard part that we found recently, at least from what I've seen, is trusting the research that you go to look for. If you go online and try to search um, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not when you're trying to do your own research.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that, I used to have a saying that, I love the logic, I just don't agree with the premise. Because I'm finding that people, if you, let's say that you say that trees are actually the color purple,
Okay.
okay? I feel that anyone, if they believe that the color is purple, they can backtrack their proof of that and come up with trees are purple, and here's the logical explanation of why trees are purple. And when you look at the logic, you say, oh, that makes sense. You went from A to B to C to D to E, and you came up with trees are purple.
Yeah.
But if you don't believe the premise, then all the other logic that goes into the argument of the trees are purple
It's kind of
becomes
absurd.
false to you. Doesn't
Yeah.
work. It doesn't make sense. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I agree with that. And if your opinion is how you get through this world without shooting someone or without doing harm to other people, I'm far from anyone to say, your logic, even though it makes you a good person, you're still an idiot.
Yeah.
Whatever. However, um, people can prove themselves into a lot of different things.
Oh yeah.
They
Absolutely.
can use, and I think that's one thing that Tucker Carlson does really good is that he creates a logical progression of ideas to come up with some of the things that some people think are totally true and some other people think is total waste
So
of time.
he does a good job creating someone's reality for them. He
Uh,
he
yeah.
he's basically a storyteller at that point because uh he he's like the movie Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
The premise of the movie is quote unquote based on true events. What actually happens in the movie versus the true events, there's some wiggle room there. So I would say it's the same premise. I saw that this happened, and here's my version of what happened, and it's based on true events. So you can say it's gospel, or you can understand that at the end of the day, it's just a story. I was talking to a friend the other day, and the friend that I have, I love the guy. He's the sweetest guy in the world. He'd do anything for you, but he's very very hard right,
Okay.
and I am not. I
Okay.
am as far as like guns go. If you have a man, I don't care. If you want to shoot him, more power to you. I believe in universal background checks. I believe there should be some checks and balances.
Okay.
Same with immigration, man. You want to be here, great. Don't sneak across the border. Do the work. Show up. I don't care. But as always, there's always extenuating circumstances. So we're talking the other day, and we were talking about that shooting in Texas, which is a terrible, terrible thing.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, it's heartbreaking on so many levels. And he dead ass looked at me and said, "Well, if they would close the borders, and that would stop the guns and illegals from coming in and shooting up all these schools." And
Oh.
and I stopped for a second. And I was like, but wait a minute, that's not what happened. You know, it was an 18-year-old white boy that turned 18 and went and bought a gun in Texas with the no gun laws that they had and no background check, and that went and did this. So I don't understand how you're getting that this is the problem when the problem you're creating has nothing to do with the actual events of that tragedy.
Yeah, like he's taking the premise of one argument and linking it to this argument without any sort of connection through evidence or you
Yeah.
know any sort of evidence. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because that happens quite a bit, right?
Yeah, and it was
That well, the illegal immigrants are what's causing the drug problem. The illegal immigrants are what's causing the shooting problem. Well, why? Well, because we hate illegal immigrants and we hate bad things being, shot at kids and stuff like that. So they must be combined, right? I mean, they're both bad. We don't like them.
you know what gets me? It's how far this country has just turned on so many different platforms. How many generations ago was it? Bring us you're sick, you're tired, you're hungry, you're poor. and this country was built off of people coming into the country to start a new life. And we have millions of square miles of space internally. I mean, the population centers are full when you look at all the major metropolitan areas, but you can go through the Midwest and parts of every state and just find wide open spaces, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that as a country we're overpopulated. I just think we got to spread out some. So when they say we're full as a country, I don't know if I really believe that. I would say India is probably full, but they have the same problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference is that 70% of the population in India are below the poverty level,
Yeah, there's that too.
whereas in the United States, even the poorest of Americans have probably more wealth than 90% of the world, right? I mean,
Yeah,
or 70% or whatever the number is. Our idea of poverty is somewhat uh, skewed because, like I said, a family of four living on 50,000 a year have more than 70% of the world's population. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So
I know it boggled my mind leaving that conversation because I was talking to a friend that was there too after left. Like, but did you pick up that this was the problem, but that the reality of what actually happened? And you start like watching some, and it happens on both the liberal side and the conservative side of people create all of these issues, and they don't both being on the left and the right, people create all these problems in their mind, and now they have platforms like the internet to where they can go and they can relay this information and their opinion, and there's no fact checking, there's no checks and balances, and that's not okay.
yeah, I mean, I have obviously I'm probably one of the more liberal members of our friendship groups, not both on our side, our friend group, but also on family side, with dealing with Noreen's family, and we were on vacation, and I was sitting talking with a very staunch right conservative leaning person, and he made the comment. He goes, "Oh, you're a blue? I don't even know if I could talk to you as a blue." And we joked and laughed, and he is from a state like ours that has immigration as a primary issue, and he asked me, he goes, "Well, what's your take on illegal immigration?" And I sat and paused for a second. And I said, I think my biggest problem with illegal immigration is that the the premise that we make all of our decisions on is a flawed premise. The premise that we are supposed to be making our legal immigration decisions on is constantly being pushed that they're all evil, they're all drug users, they're all rapists, they're sex traffickers, they're, all these bad things that we put as a connotation on a group of people. And because of that, our solutions to the problem are very skewed. And that if we change our premise of what we're looking at in terms of the problem, I think our solutions would also change as well.
Oh, I think
If
so
we
too.
didn't assume that every single person that comes across the border illegally is a drug gang member or drug dealer or, sex trafficker, it might change some of the solutions that we're looking at. And he
Yeah.
said, "Oh, that's well, what do you mean by that?" I said, "Let me ask you a question. Have you ever dealt with an illegal immigrant?" "Well, yes." "Was he a drug dealer?" "No." "Was he a sex trafficker?" "No." Most of the experiences I've had with illegal immigrants, they're hard workers just trying to make an American dream like anybody else. In fact, I might argue that some of these people are more committed to the American dream than Americans that are currently living in the United States that don't adhere to those values that we hold so precious.
Oh, I'd agree with that 100%.
So when and then and I don't know about you, Scott, but I found that when you can talk calmly, even with someone who just has a different mindset, once you break down those initial hostilities, we're not that far apart. We're not that far. I mean, in my experiences, we're not that far apart. He and I
No.
are not that far apart. Do we
No,
want to control bad people coming over the border? Of course we do. Do we want to stop the gang violence, drug violence? Of course we do. The only difference is that my premise is that one, it's a small number of the people that are coming over illegally, and two, that a lot of the reasons why there's a surge in illegal immigration does have to do with things that are going on that we encourage here in the United States. We
yeah,
wouldn't have drug cartels if we didn't have drug users in the United States, right? We
yeah,
wouldn't have illegal immigrants stealing jobs if American companies weren't hiring them.
yeah. That's fair.
And so when I started talking to him about this and I reframed the discussion, it was amazing to me. The well, we're not going to solve the problem, right? It's
No,
not that. How about this? If they could solve the problem, that's what I love about politicians. They can just say, "Oh, well, I fixed this problem in 1 second." The legal immigrant. I mean, I would just build a wall and have tougher, surveillance systems, and we wouldn't have an illegal immigration problem. And it's
yep.
like, oh gosh, we could have done that 80 years ago. I didn't know it was that simple.
I go back to the old saying in Jurassic Park: "Is nature always finds a way."
Yeah,
You,
yeah,
it doesn't matter if it's a dinosaur. It doesn't matter if it's a person. You will always find a way to get where you want to go if you want to get there bad enough.
yeah.
You will always find a way to get to accomplish the goal you put in front of yourself if you want that goal accomplished bad enough. And that's what I don't think people realize. It's that you know it's not that these are all it's I don't think the immigration problem is as bad as they make it out to be, but I don't think it's as rosy as they make it out to be either. I believe there's a problem that has to be resolved. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a topic on everyone's mind and being told everybody on both sides of the aisle in different ways to try to scare them into doing something.
Yeah, I mean, like for someone to say, well, the illegal immigrants are the ones that are carrying out these mass shootings, it's just a false narrative. I mean, there's no way that they could prove that. Say, okay, show me the evidence of all the people that have committed a mass shooting in the last 6 weeks. How many of those were illegal immigrants doing it?
Yeah.
And oh, I'm sorry, none of them. Yeah, exactly, none of them. So for him to say that, or them to say that, it you're right. It's like you're putting two A equals B, but it doesn't. So you can't say that they're equal to each other. They're not connected to each other.
Yeah.
Do you think that part of it though also is that we as a society have kind of lost the ability of the experiences and the expertise in debating,
Yes.
making a debate. I don't know if you ever had to do debate in high school, but
Hmm.
one of my English teachers in high school had us do debates, and we would choose a pretty adult topic. Frankly, not to get into it, but our topic from the group that we had to do was abortion. And I had to actually, it was me and my friend were going up against two other kids, and I was pro life. So
Hmm.
I had to find supporting documentation, and I had to formulate an argument that was built on some sort of construct of a a logical flow and supporting evidence, kind of like an attorney would or someone else. And because our society doesn't really value that skill set or doesn't really put an emphasis on that skill set, I think that's where we get into a lot of problems. Is if he was trying to make that debate to a debate club, it
He'd have been
it, it would
smoked.
fall flat. It would fall flat. It wouldn't. I mean, it wouldn't produce anything of value. And so, on a scale of 1 to 10, he'd probably get a 1 or 2 on the debate because it's not a formulated opinion. And I think a lot of people that's one of the things I found is that a lot of people just they come up with the Twitter debate
Well,
concept, which is I'm just going to make this comment. You prove that I'm wrong.
yeah, that's. I think that comes from uh, a very established, narrative that's been built over the last 5 or 6 years of the fake media, where if you don't believe me, clearly you're wrong. And if you say something bad about me, clearly you're lying. And I'm trying to figure out when in this world we lost our way with debates, when we could have civil discussions, when we could have a conversation amongst opposite-minded people to, understand each other with different topics like gun violence or abortion or what have you. And it's I'm not sure when it ended, but it's within the last 10 to 15 years.
Well, I do feel that part of it is a simplicity or a simplification of pretty complicated issues down to 144 characters.
Yeah,
And
280 now.
taking a complicated issue like illegal immigration, mass shootings, gun control, abortion, any of these, you cannot just verbalize, well, the solution is this because someone wrote 100 or 280 character answer that solves every problem.
Yeah,
And I think that my experience with the guy about the illegal immigration, and as soon as I reframed the message, it changed the whole conversation from bad and against good or vice versa to let's talk about it because it is complicated. I mean, it is complicated. I always love it when these politicians talk about how they're going to fix illegal immigration because the illegal immigrants are stealing our jobs and they're delivering drugs, and not one of their policies puts heavier fines on companies that hire illegal immigrants.
oh yeah.
Not
Because
one of them. Not one of them says, "Hey, you know what? Let's put a stronger punishment on an American company that knowingly breaks the law that we're trying to tout as so important to the survival of the United States." They don't have any legislation on fixing that part.
yeah.
And why? Well, because these are American businesses and they've got to cut costs. They have to be competitive. And if hiring legal immigrants makes them competitive, then we should let them do that.
Well, let's be real. What that is that's them wanting to make sure they don't cut out one of their major donors at the end of the day.
Maybe, maybe it does seem kind of interesting that I think that a lot of people do, and I'm being a politician doesn't sound like a great job anymore. I
No.
mean, especially if you want to do something positive or do something to help, you know, most of them I don't think are in it for that anymore. But I think that unfortunately your friend. Um, I wouldn't say it tarnishes anyone, but it does kind of just expose the fact that, unfortunately, you're right. The ability to research an idea and come up with a logical explanation is
Sure.
kind of wasted. It's almost like people don't care.
It's not even the.
Like
It's
if
not. It's
people don't care that needs to be done at all. Just make your statement. It's truth. Don't even question it. Just make it. And that's hard.
it's not even the ability. It's the will. You have to have the will to want to do the research and actually have a desire to formulate an opinion that is accurate and thought out and well spoken. And I think you're right. It goes back to the I'm just going to put it online and see what happens and tell me I'm wrong. Or this world has lost the ability to get slapped in the mouth for saying something stupid. You know?
Well, and simply from a purely biased opinion,
Yeah.
some of these people just sound so uncompassionate and so cold and so mean toward other people. And it's just like, when did we become such an uncaring, unsympathetic, unempathic group of citizens that we just, we say these horrible things about people and don't even care that that might be a painful, it might be something that, you know, um, that might be in just low character on our part to say it. I mean, and on
Yeah.
both sides. I mean, not that I agree with or I'm aligned morally with Donald Trump. Some of the things that are said about him are pretty ferocious. I mean, they're pretty ferocious, and not that I'm saying that you know I'm condoning that you can be so lack of empathy towards someone that is American citizen. We're all Americans, and you're so empathetic. You're so angry that you just you can be upset. You can be morally apprehensive by someone, but social media just has so much bullying and stuff going on that maybe it's just part of the nature of the beast anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I just the
So
society that we've created that we're stuck living in. I just feel bad for kids with that.
I will say this: as I've gotten older, as we wrap this up, I've gotten older to say I don't have all the answers either, and while I can be impassioned about something, the reality is that I'm not smart enough as anyone else. I can't solve the problem. The only thing I can do is emotionally control the premise of which I base my rationale for, and that will have to be enough. And I'll give other people the ability or the license to do the same. I like you. I wish that more people would take a moment to really think out their argument before spewing it as a diatribe. That unfortunately, there's a lot of people, even if the logic doesn't make sense, people believe it because emotionally they're charged to believe that kind of
Yeah,
logic.
and that's probably where it comes from the most. It's the emotionally charging of those comments. And as we wrap this up, if you have any, oh man, I'm sorry, my phone rang in the middle of this, so Tom's gonna kill me if we get that little.
Oh yeah, he will.
He's gonna fight, but he's gonna bite my head off on that. But man, yeah, I'll make it easy. If you guys have ever run into a situation like I have, where someone's had a completely, unthought out formulation of an argument and just sounded completely dumb, we want to hear about it. Hit us up on Facebook, at Instagram, and Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. If you want to give our EP Tom some summer hiking adventure tips in Colorado, hit him up on Twitter and Instagram at Liquid_EP.
Yeah. We appreciated everyone for giving us sometimes a platform to go a little bit more serious into some of these topics that are out there. I mean, we try to stay away as much as we can on politics, but it does rear its ugly head from time to time that we live in a world where unfortunately they're wrapped into us. What was it? 50 years ago, two things you never talked about was religion and politics, and
Yeah.
now you can't go have a conversation with anyone without it somehow rearing its head. So we appreciate you guys giving us a little bit of latitude, and maybe it also spurred something for you to report on Twitter for us. So thanks.
That's fair. Well, that said, Jason, take us home.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much for listening. That was Scott. I am Jason, and as always, if you, oh gosh, I just screwed up. See, Tom. Oh man, we really missed it. You don't know quite what to say. Just have yourself some liquid carnage.
Man, we could not land the plane this week. We'll see you guys next week.